So the thing is this, because many of us don't understand the value of what you are holding. Those 20 certificates that you are saying so, each of it is 180,000 naira in the institute. That same course, if you want to do it with Ayaka, today is as much as 520,000 naira. This course you are holding so don't joke with it. It is a life changer. One of the panelists, I'm sure he will tell you his story. The first one that we did in Port Harcourt 2019, he left Lagos and came for that thing. He was the first person to come for that event. Ask him, he will tell you his story. That's what has changed his life to today. Doctor will tell you, the rest of us will tell you what ISO is doing for us today, how we're using to change our organization. So why am I telling you this? Because there was the last time some persons joked with it and they lost it. So if you get 180,000 naira, it's not a joke. So please, if you don't need it, don't just say you don't need it so that the next person will take it. So you multiply 180 times 10, then 120 times another 10. You will know the value. This is just so that you please value it and give it your best. God bless you. So, Itoro, okay, I should help you. So let's welcome. Did you do this thing? Okay, give me. So let's welcome the next presenter. Is my bosom friend. The last summit, he was fully committed to it. The 2019 version, he was there all through, gave all his support. Today, he's not a PhD holder, a doctor, and these things that brought us here has moved him. You see this same safety where all of us are playing with has taken him from one level to the other, to the other, to the other. And here, unfortunately, he became so busy that he didn't have the time. He was so choked with his activities. But I'm even dazed to see that he was able to still make out time to quickly come and see us. His boss, while he was in Ajip, who is a bosom friend, a friend in the industry, a friend who has made. You see, the next panel session is because of people like him that we're having that panel session. How the IOCs has helped Nigeria to become a safety giant to the extent we have reached. You all can agree with me that it is the IOCs that has helped us to get to where we are. And this person I am introducing now, before his man will come and take the podium, is Engineer Peter Onwegbu, PhD. Doctors just full everywhere. You can see PhD has safety has a lot of doctors. We are doing marvelously well. He is the former HSE manager, still HSE manager he was former HSE manager of Ajip, still HSE manager in the safety department. Safety is now in Oando. Ajip is now Oando. Abi? So he has moved from different, name it, to the extent that he is today. So we have the new Deputy Safety Manager, Oando Energy Resources Nigeria Limited, Dr. Peter Onwegbu. It's not only other places that will be starting Doctor, PhD, Mr. Let's also blow our own trumpet. We have Dr. Engineer Peter Onwegbu. Let's clap for him, please. You're welcome, sir. I can tell you for free. I would really love to appreciate him. To be frank with you, they can tell you here, those who work for Ajip, what he has been able to help us do to the contractors working for Ajip. Once again, I truly want to appreciate you. Thousands of training has been done between last year and now, courtesy of what he has done. God bless you once again. So, with Jesus' joy, let's welcome Dr. Nnamdi Adimora to take the next paper session. Immediately we finish from his paper session, we will just continue the panel session that flows with that particular paper. So
good afternoon, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. So it's my honor and pleasure to be here again today. We are back there together in the event that held in 2019. And just to see that Cletus and the team, they are still flying the flag of safety, gives us great confidence that things will get better. So Cletus, firstly, I want to thank you for putting this together and the team, and for the seniors in the industry who have made our time to be here. I want to say you are welcome. And everybody who's part of the organizing committee, thank you so much for being here. My slides. So when Cletus had invited me to speak on this topic, can I get the pointer? I had thought about the best way to approach it. And the topic basically is, next slide, please. Next slide, please. No. Go back. It says HSE as a catalyst for national growth, leveraging the IOCs best practice. Where do I press? Thank you. Leveraging the IOCs best practices. And I said, well, what happens is that we philosophize a lot in the country. We usually go from one conference to the other. At the end of the day, we issue communique. And very often than not, at the end of the day, this level of effort does not eventually reflect in the way our society is looking outside. So I was thinking about the best way to break this topic down in a way that we can flow together. So what I'm going to do this afternoon is to tell you stories, right? And then in the next 25 or 30 minutes, we'll wrap it up. I'll tell you stories. We do a lot of research in the industry, in our universities. At the end of the day, all of those books are left in the shelf. They gather dust. Nobody from the industry wants to take it to apply it. People in government are not interested in taking it to apply it. The same thing happens when we gather like this. But I want to say to you that our job is very important. So for our discussion this afternoon, we're going to build it on two competing philosophies. Two competing philosophies. And what we're trying to do here is to find out what the IOC best practices are. We're also trying to see how that can help us grow our political economy. That is the topic, political economy. So we're tying all of this to our national growth. That is my topic this afternoon. And being that Cletus, when he gave this topic, didn't explicitly focus on occupational safety, it means we're going to be approaching HSE from a broad perspective. Okay? The famous philosopher Archimedes once said that if you give me a place to stand, and then you give me a lever long enough, says I will be able to move the world. And the main question here is whether the IOCs, they have given us any place to stand at all. Some, in their view, feel that Archimedes speaks of leverage by this statement. And of course, you know, in Nigeria, when you talk about leverage, in our local parlance, some people understand it to be man no man. Some, in their view, leverage means paddy. And then some others, in their view, leverage speaks to having undue advantage without having the requisite competence. However, Archimedes, in other views by other scholars, they say that Archimedes speaks of a foundation. He's asking that if we get a foundation, if we get, a platform, and then we are given tools, what should we be able to do with those tools that we have acquired? In my view, Archimedes here is speaking of knowledge in this industry. He speaks of tools like what Cletus is giving out today. Cletus is giving out a lot of tools. ISO 9001, 14,001, 45,001. Those are all tools that Cletus is giving out, and the team QMSAI. So if we receive that long enough and the technology to back it up, what are we doing with all of this that we have received? As a profession, as thought leaders in the industry, what are we doing with all of this advantage? And if we have received it, are we going to be able to move the world? Is the world being moved? Or we don't know what to do? Then Chinua Achebe, who is also our very own dear poet, novelist, philosopher, had a competing idea, right? In the book, No Longer at Ease, Chinua Achebe, using the character Obi, who is originally from Umuofia, Obi had traveled all the way to the United Kingdom to study. In Obi's view, he was supposed to study law, but he ended up studying English. Obi was somewhat ashamed to mention to people that he was studying English language, because in his idealistic sense, he felt that as Africans and in our culture, we have a very strong foundation to do well. But being that he was studying English, he felt a bit ashamed in the United Kingdom to mention that he was studying English. He didn't quite understand why civil servants in Nigeria condescend to taking bribes. He felt that in that moral platform, that those kind of things were not necessary. However, Obi eventually came back to Nigeria, joined the civil service, and after a while, because of series of conditions, he found himself in the same boat as other civil servants, doing what? Taking bribes. Now he has lost his idealistic platform that he once had. That place that he stood and had a moral high ground. And then Achebe concludes, using Obi as a character, that an impatient idealist once said, "Show me a place to stand, and I will be able to do what? Move the earth." Says, but such a place does not exist. Such a place does not exist. That for us to change the world, we have to be on the earth itself and then move at its pace. Therefore, some suggest that what this means is that to be able to change anything at all, you will have to be in the room, operate within the confines and the constraints that that environment presents, and perhaps move at the pace of your organization, of your country, of whatever association that you represent. Others adduce a different view, and their view is that in doing this, Obi had accepted his fate, that there is no moral high ground or advantage at all, or platform to build from. Therefore, he resigns his fate to the system whatever the system throws up, that is okay. So the question is, have the IOCs given us a place to stand? Have they given us levers, technology, management systems long enough? Are we able to move the world? Or, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, do we feel that that high ground is an idealistic high ground and we're not able to cope or maintain that standard, that therefore we can make all the excuses that we can and go at the pace of Nigeria, go at the pace of our companies, go at the pace of our associations, and not able to do any innovative, provide any innovative solution? We move. This is a leadership conference because we have thought leaders here in the industry. We have not so young leaders, and we have maybe very young leaders who are coming up. And I wanted us to think about this deeply because my main point here is, or my main job here is to tie what we are doing in the industry to national growth. And I'll ask a question. What is the job of a leader? We are all leaders here. We speak so much about the qualities of leadership, the qualities you need to have. You need to be emotionally intelligent, soft skills, hard skills. But that's not what I want to dwell on. If you don't understand your JD, you will never be able to deliver on your assignment. It's immaterial whether you're a good man or a bad man. So whether you occupy offices in your office at different levels of our professional association, whether it is ISPON, IOSH, ASSP, and all of these places, what is your role? What is the role of the government in all of this? Some people say that leadership or for national growth, you have to have active citizenry and very responsible leadership. But our focus is on leadership. Before I go to the next slide, I'll just simply tell you the answer. In my view, among other qualities that you need to have as a leader in our various spheres, you should know the job of a leader, and the job of a leader is to think. The job of a leader is to think. All of the things that we consider in our political economy when we hire leaders, they tell us they want to tar roads, they want to fix pipe bomb water, and all of those things. Or perhaps you're vying for president of QMSAI, and you say, okay, you're going to bring us to conferences. Those things are wonderful, but they are basic. Anybody having a good structure, the administrative staff in that place can organize any conference at all. Local government can fix roads and do all of these things that you were talking about. But the leader's job is to do what? Think. Think about what? Think about what the future holds. 25 years from now, 50 years from now, what will the world look like? What will our company look like? What would our association look like? What kind of world are we going to be in 50 years from now? And that leader would ask questions. What are the factors that will shape that world? What are the forces that will drive this change? So that we can be ready for the future. Because we must organize ourselves in such a way that we are able to be on top of the future. Nations who are on top today are not living. They want to maintain their advantage. But there are nations who had already planned years back. Companies who are on top today are companies that planned years back. They are ready for the competition. They're not moving. If you got to move them, then you got to think, right, about the forces that will shape the future. So my question for us today, do we have an idea what we're even dealing with? Because there's a tendency to deal with these things at piecemeal. You know, to have a holistic view, you must know what you're dealing with. Does anybody here know what Nigeria will look like in 50 years' time? Have you plotted the graph? Have you envisaged it? Do you know the skills that you will need to drive the future? And things like that. So that's what I want us to think about. What your company is going to look like, your family is going to look like, the world is going to look like in 25 or 30 or 50 years from now. So let's take you into the future a little. To go into the future, to look at certain basics. For you to plot the graph into the future, you must understand your challenges as of today. And then plan on how you must surmount those challenges to be able to be on top in the future. Because if you don't solve those problems, you can't even think about what's going on tomorrow. This is the Fragile State Index, an indicator. Because for us to practice HSE, we have to practice it inside Nigeria. Is it not so? For you to practice HSE, you must be inside Nigeria. And you cannot be planning for an ideal state. Country is not in an ideal state. So an ideal state is where everything is running smoothly and normal. There are some IOCs here, some plants run ideal state. But when the plant begins to get old, you know that the kind of managers you need at that time for that plant, you don't need greenhorns. You need people with serious experience that can be able to do what? Manage all the challenges of the plant. This indicator here uses about 12 factors to tell you what your country looks like. By the way, an agile state is the direct opposite of a fragile state. And our country is at number 15 on this list, using 12 metrics. Cohesion, binding together, security apparatus in the country. Is there cohesion in their operations? Elites, fractionalized elites. Elites are the people who change the world. The money, they are the ones who drive innovation. But when you don't find consensus among them, then there's a problem in that society. Then group grievances. Just look at, but I will sidestep this, but look at one of our primary key institutions in Nigeria, ISPOT. Look at how many grievances that are in there. For instance, just for instance, but once I step in, the idea is because the same people who are in those places are Nigerians. So whatever you see on our political economy is a reflection of things that you find in our companies, in our associations. That's what we're dealing with. To be able to position ourselves for the future, you must know all of this. Economy, brain drain, uneven economic development, and all of these social indices puts us at a place that is very uncomfortable. And how do we get on top of this, solve all of this, and be on top as a body of professionals in 25 years' time? Our Human Capital Index, or Development Index, which talks about health. And you are in your office, and you're getting people to do health surveillance, you're getting people to do fitness to work, you're providing HMOs. You're not just doing it for yourself or for the company, you're doing it for the country. As a safety person, when they say, oh, management says he doesn't qualify for such benefit, you say no. Because the people that we are managing in our workplaces, 'Places' 'are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our national economy. 'Are the most productive segment of our na workers. So when you take care of the health of your workers and their well-being, you're taking care of the country. So I want to show you that how your job is related to a national assignment. So that you know that you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for now. Because for our health indices to improve, a healthy man is the man that can walk. An average life expectancy in Nigeria is about in the 50s somewhere. So you mean we train you, give you a PhD, train you management system audits, do all of these things, and averagely by 53 years, the person is gone. All that knowledge lost, not transferred. How do you run a country like that? How are you going to compete in the future like that? When averagely in the other climes, people live as much as 80, they have all the time to, transfer skills from generation to generation to generation to generation. And then knowledge. In Nigeria, we have about the highest number of out-of-school children in the world for the size of our population. That's the future that we're talking about. So let's not practice HSE as if it is isolated from our society. We need to take this as a call that in whatever sphere, little corner you find yourself going forward, that you must be able to do something to change that environment and the standard of living. We are number 157 out of 189 countries in terms of Human Development Index. We have to surmount this to be on top of the future tomorrow. I won't even go into food security. Robert Kennedy said, "Few will have greatness to bend history itself, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events. And in the total of all those acts, it will be written in history of this generation." I want us, wherever you find yourself, no matter how small the size of your company is, to drive this profession with passion. Insist on the right things being done towards health and safety of the workers, towards the environment, towards the assets of your company and the reputation. And then, in collective, we'll be able to change the world. All of us might not be as influential as Cletus, but you have some sort of influence within your sphere of operation. And that's what I want us to tap into. And to remind you that this industry we have today, this achievement or improvement we had in safety today, is as a result of people's blood. From the 18th century, when the world of work changed and people moved from the farms and everything into the factories, and then limbs were lost and all of those, and people began to advocate. And since then, people have been advocating. So this profession is built on the blood of people. People died. Improvements were made. The system, people began to protest. And on we have improved into the Factories Act, moved into occupational health and safety laws and regulations, moved into workplace legislations, moved into environmental protections and all the doomsday movement of the 60s and 50s. Now, in the 90s, evolved into an integrated management system approach. Because all of this health, safety, environment, quality, they're all tied together. And today, we are talking about sustainability and ESG. It's all the same topic, but finding better ways to get things done. I won't go into this because all the speakers have spoken about this, but you know that as it applies for your company, same for the nation. If the health and safety of Nigerians improve, we will have a more productive economy. When we have more productive economy, then people can come here to invest. Nobody goes into a country that is in crisis to put money there. Because human resource is a key component of production. Will you bring a business of $1 million, $2 million in here if you can't find people who are healthy enough to get the job done? You train them after 45 years. If they don't run into a pothole, something just happens to them, because there's always something ready to happen to somebody within the place. And then, if we do our bit, investments will come. Jobs will be there. And of course, sustainable infrastructure. If you drive around Port Harcourt now, beautiful, massive roads that were done for us. Do you know that people go there and take off the manholes? You've not noticed, people go steal manholes with total disregard for other human lives. They don't care who falls into it or not. But I'm wrapping up. We need to build a culture of HSE compliance. We're coming to what the IOC did for us. When our compliance environment was almost non-existent, the IOC did not wait for our laws, but they held themselves accountable and provided systems, what we now refer to as best practices. Even though your laws and regulations didn't cover that, but they made sure that they were going to hold themselves to higher accountability. And they did a lot of fostering of private partnership. Shell, Total, Mobil, they went out there training a lot of people. The challenge you're going to have is that there must be challenges along the way. Resource is always a problem. You got to find the money. Regulatory compliance, you got to find clear ways to improve this, and we'll continue to do public advocacy. On this slide, this is the reason we're here. When you set up your business, your company, whatever it is that you do, this is just a few of the things that IOCs do. They have strong ethics and a governance structure. Code of ethics, code of conduct, conflict of interest is a big issue. They have respect within the team. You must have integrity. Diversity and inclusion. Doesn't matter where you come from. Just deliver results. Competence-based talent resourcing. Not paddy business. If you get in there, there's a clear criteria of getting you in there, and you got to do the job. Your roles are clear. The organization structure is efficient. It's only in this country that people take over companies with a proper structure, and then they turn everything around, and the next thing, the company dies, because for you to operate effectively, whether at national level, at state level, in your companies, you must find the right structure. I'm rounding up. But what has this done for us? The impact, job creation. See, if we have left it to maybe the regulators and government, maybe half of us here will not have a job. The only reason that most of us have jobs is that they started insisting that companies must have safety officers. Skills and transfer. Almost all of us in this place, all the things that we have learned in this industry is because most of the times the IOCs insisted. That Cletus has a business. Is my man. That has a business. Going around Nigeria, train people on ISO is IOCs. And on and on and on and on. But I will conclude. We need to embrace this. And next time, I think we should invite the governor. Invite the governor. We can't come and sit here and be talking to ourselves, and this are there. Invite the officials to come so that we can foster that relationship that will change things for us. And I conclude. There's an African proverb that says that you must judge a man by the works of his hands. And so I ask you again, dear moderator, Archimedes or Achebe, whichever philosophy you want to imbibe, whichever your school of thought, it's important to tell everybody that in our country, things are no longer at what? At ease. A is required from the thinking that has generated this problem. And that's part of what Cletus and the team are doing this afternoon. So we need to evolve new thinking. And this is a call to action. A new future beckons, and we must act before things fall apart.